pushed away from the front of the temple, and they were all put in here. It was a place called the Chosen Jutaku. They were all Korean stand-up bars. And that became Hoppidori. But the temple, I think, wants their garden back. No idea. What are you talking about, back? Stream is not down. It's up, full uptime, green, drop frames 0, live 4 minutes, 1 second. I'm not in the rain. We're not on Wi-Fi. I am wired myself to to the router. The router is wired to an optical fiber, and we are looking good. We are looking good. There's 0 drop frames at this end. I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm wired directly to the whatever. Anyway, nothing else I can do. Everything's green light at this end. Didn't get to hear what you were saying about Hoppy Street. How do you know I was talking about Hoppy Street then? I don't, nothing important, nothing, whatever. Just that shop on the corner is coming down, and what we're waiting to see is if the building is coming down or if it's just going to be another shop in the same place. Cutting out the bottom here, you know how we do this normally. We try and make it as smooth as possible. Because when we print many copies of a print, if it's not smooth in the bottom, pigments and stuff build up there. But this one, there isn't going to be many copies. Only about 24 copies, and that's it. But, you know, you make your own style. You can't do it carelessly just because there's only going to be a couple of dozen copies. And because of the rain, it seems noisier out there, of course. Every footstep is noisier, everything's noisier. At least the crows seem to have settled down. They've gone to bed somewhere or whatever. Is the inside detail carved as deep as the outside? No, of course not. I know the farther away we get from the lines, the deeper you have to go. When you're between two lines, the paper can't sag all that much at all, so there's not so much need. And if you go too deep when you're near the lines, the brush can't run smoothly. So in the area of the print itself, really shallower is better. The other day here, it would have been on the weekend, I guess. Actually, probably just after the stream on Saturday, upstairs with the printers. There was a couple of them here, and we were having another discussion, another go around about next year's series. We were quite seriously trying to figure out what to do for next year's series. And Ishikawa-san had brought up an idea. She brought in a book she had got, which was a book published during a Hokusai exhibition. It would have been a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. A Hokusai exhibition at a local museum here, the Sumida Museum across the river. And they had got together a bunch of, borrowed from different places, Obuse, up in Nagano and a few places. They had borrowed a bunch of Hokusai paintings. And they were having a painting exhibition, not a print exhibition. And she had got the book, the exhibition book of this. So it was a book of Hokusai paintings, some of which were massive and some of which were just, little scraps of paper with something drawn on it. And she brought one particular one over to me and said, what if we did this? What if we did a series next year of print reproductions of Hokusai paintings? And she said, look at this one, this is so cool. And the one she showed me was a painting of a piece of, a fish, a salted salmon. And it has a Japanese title. It's called Salted Salmon and Mice. Salted Salmon and Mice. And when I saw it, I had to laugh. Ishikawa-san, you're going to be kidding. What do you mean? Make a print of this? And she's like, yeah, we can make a print of a wood of painting. It's been done all the time. No problem. And I said, yeah, that's not why I'm laughing. And I went upstairs to the collection room. And this one I just showed her again this morning. I know we have already in the collection a woodblock print made, perhaps in Taisho, perhaps in Meiji. We have a woodblock print made of that same Hokusai painting. It's a piece of dried salmon and a couple of mice nibbling at it. Actually, I put it into the collection after we had our conversation. I thought that would be cool for people to see this. So if you go to the collection, I'm not following your conversation. Sorry, whatever. If you go to the collection, and you'll see it there near the bottom of the pull-down menu. and it's called Salmon and Mice, or Mice and Salmon, or something like this. And it is a woodblock reproduction of oxeye painting. And she had asked, let's do this kind of a thing for next year. And on the face of it, it doesn't sound like so much of a bad idea. They would be popular, it would be fun to do. The thing is, looking at the woodblock print we have here, she and I started counting how many colors, how many impressions. And we gave up at around 30 or so. So there's no way, I mean, at least not at the level that that particular one was done, there's no way we could clearly do this as a subscription series, you know. Already we're struggling with Jed's impressions, you know, because there's too many color impressions on each one. So, but that's an idea in play for next year, a series of reproductions of paintings done as woodblock prints. Somebody got it? Print number 28. Yeah, you can link, whatever. There is a way to link directly in, but yes, I found it from the menu. Thanks, John. Also, that thing's big. There's one problem with the collection and the way that I've currently structured it, in that there's no dimension information, and a small print and a large print all enlarge the same way to fill the viewport. So nobody can tell how big those things are. And it's big. That thing, that salmon you see there is about like the size of the viewport we see here where I am. So I've got to figure out how to do that on the collection. Obviously it needs a data field for size, X centimeters, X inches. But even just printing a data field doesn't give you a feel for how big prints are, and it's a difficult thing. You just see a bunch of thumbnails, and it gives you no sense at all of the actual size of those things. What's the third photo on that page? Yeah, it's the painting. Yeah, I don't have access to the painting, but I found somebody's blog. They had gone to the exhibition or whatever, and that's the painting. And what I don't know is I have no idea of the scale, the size here. That's a tiny little painting, or it's something quite large. I really don't know. Any comments about the collection? Thank you very much. The collection, I'm having a lot of fun with that. I can't do much work on it the next few days. It's for me now. The next 3 days is going to be accounting. It's our year end. The year end of our new company is year ending in the end of June. And I really have to get caught up on some accounting and bookkeeping. I've ignored the set of books we have to draw. We have to make a new bookkeeping system for the company. And I've been doing the daily work. We've kept records daily. But the year end is now facing us, and I have to prepare for that. So there won't be any new prints in the collection for the next few days, I'm sorry. Accounting, accounting, accounting. And it's funny, I mentioned on one of the pages in the collection website there that we're using the Patreon money to help get this thing going, and we have. A couple of the people who used to work in the shop last year, Yamada-san and Rose-san, they were shop assistants here last year, and over the past couple of months they haven't had any work. So what I've done is I've used, because we're getting that great support recently from Patreon, one great idea to use that money is for this. So Rose and Yamada-san have been come back. They're not here, they're working at home. Rose is working at home, but and they're working on the background for the collection, putting new items into the database, writing descriptions and stuff like this. And I tried to get a third person. Two of our staff members have lots of experience with Adobe stuff, with Photoshop and Creative Suite and whatever. And I tried to get them to get back in here to help take more photographs and stuff. But both of them gave me the same answer. Sorry, Dave, too busy. Too busy. They got too much extra work, too much other work. And I saw that in the news the other day. There was a news story, New York Times or something. America is tragic and millions of people out of work and whatever. And Japan is still in that same situation. All the companies can't find workers for the jobs. There's essentially still basically no unemployment here in Japan. It's astonishing. So two of our staff members who have the experience and knowledge on how to use that stuff, and both of them said, sorry Dave, I can't, I'm too busy. I'm wandering around. Am I still on the camera? I should be careful. Wander around and wander around. Do I use any accounting apps? No, it's all homegrown. It's all homegrown. Our business model is just so, it just doesn't suit anything, Our business model is small transactions in different currencies, goods being shipped around the world, revenue in overseas banks. There's no Japanese software that even knows anything remotely how to do this. The tax guy we've been using for years, he's just whatever. He's just thrown up his hands years ago. Very few Japanese companies have any conception of working with different currencies. I mean, the big guys like Toyota and whatever, of course, that's all they do. But they have, different structure, of course. But little business, small businesses, what you would call small business, none of them, and I mean none of them, have any conception that they could deal in anything other than yen. So their revenue is all local, their taxes are all local, everything like that. So our situation, where most of our revenue comes in foreign currencies, is just it's just outside of the scope of nearly all Japanese business accounting software. And it really gets quite complicated, actually. So we first of the month, Cameron does the billing for the subscriptions, whatever. The invoices and stuff get prepared. There's the bill for, say, $35 or whatever it is. It's a bill in foreign currency, and it goes into our bookkeeping system. It's now what they call accounts receivable. and $35. So, but in any country, you have to do your bookkeeping in your domestic currency. You pay taxes domestically, whatever. So that bill gets translated into yen at that day's exchange rate and goes into our bookkeeping as an accounts receivable in a certain number of yen on that day. Now, it might be that that particular subscriber sees the link and pays it right away in dollars, and we book the revenue in dollars at the same exchange rate, and things are just fine. Might be that he doesn't pay till next day or the next day or the next day or the next day or whatever, of course. By then the exchange rate is different. So the payment now comes in from him in dollars, and it's a different exchange rate, which we turn into yen on that day. We now already, even though the customer has just paid his normal bill, we've already now booked an exchange loss or gain. And this has to be handled for every single freaking transaction that we do. Well, it's okay, the software I wrote can handle this. But typical Japanese accounting software, just whatever, it's impossible. You need a rank of little girls with calculators sitting there all day working this stuff out and typing it into the books, you know. So, where am I? Oh, one corner left. Dave's International Accounting Software Package, yes, for woodblock print subscription sales. How many other companies could use that? Actually, it gets worse, you know, because what happens is that customer Mr. B, customer Mr. A pays his invoice the same day, pays by PayPal. It goes into the PayPal account in dollars the same day as the exchange rate. Customer B pays 4 or 5 days later. It's a different exchange rate, pays into the PayPal dollar account. We're still holding dollars, but that's now my dollars, even though it's in PayPal. So I have to book it into my income. Okay, customer D, E, F, G, they all pay down the line. Now the money is still in PayPal, but then 2 weeks later or so, PayPal gets a bit big. I go to PayPal and say, okay, send me $10,000. And PayPal takes the money. They give it their own exchange rate, which is nowhere near the normal interbank exchange rate. And they transfer it to yen in their own account, and then yen it comes down to me. So the day I receive it is not the same exchange rate day that any of these people paid it. And yet I had to book it as income on the day the customer paid it. You can see where we're going. There's 10 different exchange rate applies here. And when I bring down that basket full of money from PayPal, every dollar in it was received at a different exchange rate. Years back when we were doing this, our normal accountant, before it was a company, I'd take my stuff to the accountant, you know, and he says, "What are these? What are these?" I'm explaining what's happened here. He says, "You can't do that. This all has to be yen." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, but you know, you tell me how it should be calculated." And the first answer from him and from the tax agency was, "It's okay. Just do it all in dollars, and then at the end of the year, take the exchange rate, December 31st, take that one big number to yen, and that's your income for the year." And I can't believe they said that. All the ups and downs of currency. Sometimes the dollar goes 10, 15, 20% the wrong way. My income could have been inflated by 20%. And they said, "Oh, it's okay, whatever." Just whatever. So I designed and we built a bookkeeping system that handles this. Day by day by day by day, automatically. As we sleep, people do this thing. They pay PayPal invoices during the night while we're sleeping. They come into our bookkeeping system automatically. PayPal gives what's called IPNs, instant payment notifications. I think we're done here. I think we are done. Let's wash it off and take a test print. I'm missing this. I'm sorry. I'm missing. Shopify gave me no. Our system works. We've built it. It just works. We've got the accounting now perfect to the single yen each time of day. It all works. It all works. My problem the next few days now is not that part of it. That part of it is long built. My part of it is now things like the tax withholdings we've done, the different advance payments we've made for staff, taxes, and stuff like that. And then the inventory, the year-end stuff. Have I got kids? I have grandchildren. I got 3 grandchildren. Have I got kids? Three and a half grandchildren. Next one's due, actually I'm not sure, October, November, I don't know. They are multiplying. That's what we need, is a jackhammer. So outside microphone off to show. Let's put the outside mic off. Where's the control? How do I have half a grandchild? Because she's pregnant. What can I say? The kid is due in, I think, in October. Yeah, let's put the outside audio off. I'm still okay, right? Testing, testing, testing. Good. Hey. A bug? A spider on the bench. What? No. You're talking about the little, this is the paper. We just, right? These little black things. We've just washed the key block and the last little remnants of black gumpy came off. They're dancing all over the block. Is that what you're seeing? Or is something escaping? There was a bug walking by behind the block. As in like a spider. There is a little black spider that lives here on the bench somewhere. A little jumping spider. It's about, that big. Pa-chomp, pa-chomp. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's do a test print. What does it say on the brush? This is a brush from the old party room. It says A and Sta. This was one of the brushes where we had for the party room. This was a gradation brush. And we had the letter A and stuff marked on the block. And people matched up the brush and the block and they made their party prints. I need a piece of test junk paper. What have I got here? Test junk paper, 2019 income statement. That'll do. Okay, here we go. The famous black smear. Hi, here we go. Goodbye, pretty block. Yeah, the kanji is for bottom, shita. So this is the top and that's the bottom. People held the brush. That was to the bottom of the block and we had an A, a line written on A. The party room, it's dead now. Nay, we started to take it apart. The tools and stuff are cleaned up. Taking all the lights down. Okay, there's our first impression. What are first impressions like? I think we're okay. I don't see any dramatic kind of problems. Looks like a horse, looks like a guy. Oh, the foot, the original foot. Oops. Seems okay. Seems okay. Okay, let's set that aside. Now, next step now. What we're going to do is, this is going to be a 4-color print, at least 4, maybe 5. There's going to be 4. We've got one prepared. This is going to be the background area. And I could carve that now, actually, and then we're going to transfer 1, 2, 3. Jill, let's move. Let's do this. Let's do this. Next step, carve the background. Then when the paper comes off, I can transfer what you just saw into the middle of this for cutting it away. I'm missing half of this. I'm missing most of this. I'm sorry. You know. So, also. But I wrote to the Last Known God, and in the stream last Saturday, it turned out people were testing the bot, and the bot seemed to have gone to the bot resting place in the sky. So I wrote to Nick, the Last Known God, over the weekend, and said, Nick, take a peek at it. So he took a peek at it, and he killed it and restarted it, and I believe the bot is back. As you have found out, it's working again. He apologized for it, but he said, whatever, you know, I'm not upset about it, whatever. And he said, just to restart. So there we are. It's also affecting me because the bot is doing two things. It's doing the bot work for you, but it's also keeping track of the chat, and it sends it to me in an email at the end of the stream at around noon every day. So the last two streams I didn't get. I sat down at lunch, got my coffee ready to read the chat, and it has gone to the chat in the sky. I wasn't able to see any of the comments that were made over the past two streams. They are gone. So just to recap what's happening here. Busy. The bot needs updating. Print party. You cannot order a Mocha print party. The bot does need updating. Okay, yes. We are not taking bookings. The print parties are history. They are finished, gone, dead. It is a dead parrot. The chats are available on the VODs, but you can't download it all at once. You have to wait 2 hours to get it done. And that's only with Twitch. After the 2 weeks are gone, that's also gone. So yes. So again, to recap what we did here to get this, we just took last year's print. I went to last year's share certificate. Can't see what I'm doing here. I went to last year's share certificate and just printed using the same registration marks. Printed the background block from last year's certificate. You can see the shape where the owl was sitting. And all I'm going to use the information, I'm just going to use the outline information, and I will cut an oval shape on this block. Take away, leave this. So this year's certificate will fit into the same place, the same location. And then once the oval is determined, I will transfer those men and the horse into the oval. So this is probably getting bigger year by year. This is the third year we've been doing this. No, third year we've been doing this. And each year I trace from the one before. So they're probably getting bigger year by year by year. The noise is coming from that corner. You see the little white truck parked there. They are jackhammering out. The restaurant is dead. It was an okay restaurant. It wasn't gourmet food. It was quick and dirty. Got to go for dinner. Quick, bang. They'd give you a bowl of curry rice, whatever. And it's gone. I guess as we were saying at the beginning of the stream, you didn't hear it or whatever. I'm not sure if just the restaurant is gone or if the building will be coming down. I'm really, really curious to see what's going to happen. Over towards the east side, towards Nakamisedori, the Nakamisedori, English-Japanese, has been some shops closed in the past couple of years, and Sensoji has reclaimed the location. And then the actual buildings where the shops were have come down. And we can now see the temple wall. And it looks like, from an outsider's point of view, it looks like Sensoji is trying to reclaim all around the wall, along the outside of their garden. And I'm very curious to see what's going to happen now with this one. If that building comes down and we see the wall, it'll look like a verification of that. And if that's the case, it means all of Hoppidori may be dramatically changing. No. Nobody's buying. Sensoji owns all the land, the whole district, the land I'm sitting on right now, everything. Sensoji owns all this land. They have owned it since the year dot. The building owners own the buildings. My landlady, she owns, quotation marks, she owns the building, and she pays them, what would it be called in English, a leaseholder's fee each year. Rent, whatever, I don't even know what you call it. She pays to Sensoji each year for using this land. They also get a fee, a hefty fee, when there's a transfer of building ownership. When she bought this building, she said, go hyakuman, so $50,000. She had to pay Sensoji $50,000 for having them make the entry in the notebook showing the transfer of ownership. But I'm sitting on temple land here. Okay, there is our oval. It's upside down, right side up. That's the background for the print. And again, to recap, those of you who know what's going on, here's last year's certificate. Here's last year's certificate. It's a inkjet printed certificate with a woodblock printed part in the middle. And we'll be doing the same thing this year. After this is finished, the certificate before the inkjet part will be moistened. It'll be laid down here. You can imagine printing the background oval. Oh, that's after trimming. So before trimming. This has already been trimmed. Sorry about that. So it goes in there into the oval. So here's one pre-trimming. Something like this. They go in here. Chup, chup. And that's the space. So now, take off the gampi. How's our time? We're halfway through, 8:44. I didn't hear the vacuum cleaner lady. Or is there just too much noise out there today? The commoners get inside the temple, yes and no. And up to the main Sensoji, normal people don't go inside, but there are special prayer areas. I know everybody can go up to the front of the temple, throw your money in the box, and stand and pray outside. If you have a special case, you have a family member in hospital, you want special prayers or whatever, you go to a window, you arrange the deal, you pay your money, whatever. They'll take you inside, and depending on, I know nothing about the details, depending on how much you've paid, priests will sit down with you. There's special rooms and stuff for praying. The garden itself is not open to the outside. We can peek through the gate into the garden, but we can't go inside. But in recent years, I don't know when it started, 10 years ago or so, 10, 12 years ago, I don't know. There was some kind of pressure. These people are paying no taxes. They've got all this beautiful land. Let's, open this up a little bit. So they opened up the garden area right behind. You can see trees there. If you look, not the tree in the foreground here, but the tree behind the building in the distance, there's trees. That's inside the temple garden. And in recent years, that has been opened for a specific time. Each spring, it opens for about 2 weeks or so. We can pay our fee and go inside. But that's been closed the last couple of years because of major construction. One of the temple buildings inside is being renovated. And it's supposedly it's a religious organization, Can you go inside the Vatican? I don't know, whatever. Okay, anyway, here we go. What we need to do now is we have a transfer sheet ready. We will ink this up, put the transfer sheet carefully in place, print it, and then transfer those little dudes over to the oval. Let's have a go. Let's warm up the block first. Are there Shinto shrines? There's a major Shinto shrine next door to Sensoji Temple. It's called Asakusa Jinja. It's the same kanji. That's the major shrine where the Sanja Matsuri, the fabulous, huge festival around here every May, takes place. I would have said to the immediate right of Sensoji, whichever you look, as you stand looking at Sensoji, to the right and back a little bit is the Asakusa Jinja. But yes, if you're standing at Sensoji, it's to your left. So. Okay, there we have our men. We now flip this over. It's such a cool system for transfers, There we go. The location of our two guys are transferred into the right place. Again, no dramatic peel here. We don't have a good place to start. So I'm just going to peel back the area we need. Don't even get your scorecards out. It's not going to happen today. Okay, that's all the information we need here. And we will now, if I don't get screwed up, this block is going to be to print the background. So we want to take away the areas that are inside the men and the horse. I'm missing most of this. Is a transfer paper traditional? This is how it was done. This is exactly how it was done in the old days. They used thin Gumpy paper. They didn't use, for the most part we think, they didn't use the double transfer method I just used. I take my Gumpy paper and I bond it first to a back sheet, which is more stable. They didn't actually use thin Gumpy for color transfer separations. Thin Gumpy was used for the original drawing. The guy would draw, the people would help him, bang, paste it down, and down she goes. For the transfer sheets, Gumpy is too thin. It's too, I don't know, distortable. So if you did your transfers with Gumpy, then while you're preparing your color and stuff, they would distort and shrink, and you'd have no color blocks. So for color transfers, they used a stiffer, stronger paper. They did their, just like we did here. We printed the key block, pasted it down, and peeled off from the back. I like to use the Gumpy because it's so thin, and I'm not worried about the distortion because we use that system of using a stronger backing sheet. So this is, quote, the same system as in the old days with slight modification. We're using a backing sheet to make things much more stable and less error prone. Usumino from Maclean's. Is that a double layer paper or is that a single sheet? I don't know. I think Maclean's and Matsumoto, they have stuff they have now started making. They spray up and they sell this double layer paper as well. And the last thing you want is a stretchy paper or anything that will distort. That's death to this process. Absolutely death. Where are we? 8:52. I can still get going in this, right? Height. Actually, I think because this is so, I didn't print it very dark black, it's going to be a bit difficult to see. So let me use my scope. Get this accurate. Where are we going to be? We're going to start there, which means, hang on a second, let me find the location. Pretty gray. I should have used a bit of a darker black. It would have made my life easier here, but whatever. Okay. So freaking noisy out there today, insanely noisy out there today. Oh, is that her with the vacuum cleaner just now? She's late. Okay, I think I see what happened. Over the weekend, those guys were busy at last. I know it's been months since that hotel's been busy. The lights have been out, 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 all the way upstairs. But last night, the last couple of days, there's been a bunch of people in there. And domestic travel in Japan is now back and open. I know a bunch of the prefectures are open up again, and the government's encouraging people to get out and travel locally, domestically. So there was people in this hotel last night. I know it wasn't full, but there was a bunch of lights on upstairs. So her routine, the lady over there in the morning, her routine must now be different. They've got rooms to clean and stuff. So maybe that's changed her vacuuming timetable. Not sure what's inside and what's outside here. And the knee comes up and out. Will any of the background color be left inside the figures? No, we're going to totally take it out, as you can see in the original, what we're doing here. There's going to be another color. The horse will have a color of its own, and we're going to use that color inside the background figures. And the background is lighter. We could maybe run it under the horse, but it's extra carving that way. So we'll just take the background totally away from the inside. So the horse will not have it, neither will this guy. So we will have, in addition to the background, we'll have key block, we'll have background, where are we here? We'll have key block, we'll have background, we'll have horse, and we'll have gray. And then in one area where this guy's arms or legs, we will have a tiny block with skin on it. So there's going to be a fifth block, and I'll use some tiny tucked away corner of this block to do this with. So for now my goal is simply this. I'm going around these lines like this, taking away, and we'll scoop, we'll just do it so you can see it, scoop away what isn't going to be background. This, it all comes out. So you can see how it works. There we are, one character. And if we begin to pull up the image, that's the way it's going to work. The character will have other colors, but not the background color. So. How are we doing? How's our time? We're still okay, 9:03. Keep going. Yes, yes, yes. I do have a show and tell. Yes, it's a quiet, actually it's an interesting one. It's quite different from anything else we've seen before. Why don't I print out a reverse image so he has a more useful reference for carving? Chon-san does this. It drives me crazy. Chon-san, our carver, the young guy from Hong Kong, he works at home and also up here upstairs. He prints out the original that he's doing, whatever, Jed's something when he's carving. He prints it in reverse, in color, and looks at it. And I cannot do that. After 40 years of just looking at this thing the normal way around, I sit here with this, there's my block, and there's the original, I flip it mentally, and I know what's going on. I can't do this. He's got his, and it's already backwards. And that to me is far more confusing. We deal with the original normally. We deal with the original in its true orientation. And I got confused 40 years ago by this, and people all the time who are new to this, oh my God, we got to carve backwards, what are you going to do? We don't do anything special. You take your original in normal orientation, paste it face down on the woodblock, that gives you your reverse. Then you take your printing paper, paste it face down, and you peel off a perfect print. So we as printmakers, we don't do a reversal. We don't do anything. We take an original image without reversing, paste it down, carve it, print it, and it works perfectly. But so I've been doing that for like 40 odd years. And Chon-san now, he's got this reverse thing in it. My head just I can't do it. No idea what you're talking about. It's okay. It's okay. Go, 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 go. Yeah, people up on the roof. Shall we zoom in there? Whether they're getting ready to take the building down or whether they're just doing, gutting out the restaurant stuff. I'm really, really, really curious. My guess is they're going to leave the building. Otherwise, they would have ripped out windows and stuff, If they were going to tear the building down, they would have taken these windows away and stuff like that. But they've left the windows. No, I don't know. It's still whatever. It could go either way. It could go either way. If I was going to be a betting man, I'd bet that the restaurant is gone, the building stays, and a new tenant will come in. I don't know. I would kind of hope that's the way this goes, because if Sensoji does really want to reclaim that wall, all the half of the shopping on Denpo-dori, all of half of Hoppidori would disappear, and we would have a blank, empty temple wall. What would you rather have? A funky kirei temple wall with bamboo, or would you have a thriving community of bars and restaurants? I know which side I would vote for. So I am hoping that this building stays, but we'll see. It's none of my business. I know nothing about this stuff, just what I observe and see walking around, How do I like Asakusa? It's not a city, but yeah, I like it fine here. It's kind of noisy. But I like it. It's fun, and whatever. I've mentioned this kind of not a joke, but this situation before. My brother lives in Germany, and I live here in Asakusa, and he's moving to Thailand now, the backwoods of nowhere, very, very quiet place. And I'm in Asakusa, and Asakusa is famous for three things. It has been for hundreds of years, plus the religious thing. The temple has been here for the year dot, but Asakusa itself, it's famous for three things: wine, women, and song. That's what you do here. You drink, and there's ladies and stuff around, and it's karaoke bars and singing and theaters and you name it, whatever. And wine, women, and song. And if that's like the exact opposite of my DNA. I'm a very quiet, peaceful, control freak kind of guy. One bottle of beer, a 300cc, one can of beer in the evening, and that's my limit. So why am I here in Asakusa? Because of this tradition, obviously. So. Any ETA in the Great Wave reprints? They're happening batch 50, 60 at a time. Another batch, they're gone now from the previous batch. Another group should be coming over my desk. It's the end of June, middle of July. Next group should be here middle of July. I don't know how many people are on the list. If you'd like an update, write to Cameron here, info@mokohankan.com. All I can say is just, I'm sorry. There is massive, massive demand. You heard a wave sound a few minutes ago. It was another name going on the list. Dozens and dozens go on the list every day. There's just nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry. Thank you for your interest, but there's one, I don't know, bright spot in the tunnel there, in that many people put their name on the waiting list, but when Cameron sends out the emails to saying how you doing, lots and lots of people say, okay, no, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but no thanks. So the waiting list does move faster than you would think. Oh, Andy's here, is he? With the young tyke. Now that the bot is back to normal, I will be getting this chat and I will have a poke through and a read through at lunchtime. Let's do a bit more work before we break for our show and tell. Have they gone quiet, really, just in time? The thing about the building, whether or not it's coming down or not, we can't tell yet because the tenant is leaving. I'm assuming they're tenants that don't own the building, like restaurant. The tenant is leaving, and as part of leases here, our lease, for example, on this building is what's called a skeleton lease. The lease on the first floor is a skeleton lease. And that means when we leave, we have to return the building to skeleton shape. We have to rip up the floors, take out the ceiling, tear off the interior walls, take out any plumbing, everything that we did. The legal situation is you return the building to just a physical, absolute concrete skeleton, the way it originally was built. Then the next tenant comes in, he builds his own walls, ceiling, floor, roof, plumbing, everything, you name it. That's the way it's done. So even though this building may be scheduled for demolition, and again, I don't know the backstory, even if it were scheduled for demolition, the legal requirement is that tenant has to gut it and take everything away down to the structure. And then it reverts to the landlord, the person who owns the rights to use that thing. There's three people, tenant, building owner, and Sensoji. And then the building owner then comes in and does whatever he wants, tears it down or whatever. We were extremely lucky when we got the first floor lease here a couple of years ago. We knew the jeweler was leaving. It was all sorted out. And I came to work here one day. Cameron came to work, came upstairs. Man, have you seen the guys downstairs, the construction people? They're ripping up the floor, And I ran down instantly and I stopped them and I had to pay them. The people had been hired by the jeweler to rip up the floor and rip out the ceiling and rip out the walls so he could leave it as a skeleton shape. And I paid them off to bugger off and get out of here and leave it alone. So he paid them to tear it out, and I paid them not to tear it out. They were already halfway through the floor, so the floor was gone. But I'm lucky, I caught them before they started on the roof. We would have had to build everything, wiring, lights, ceiling, everything. As it was, we just had to put a floor in, and we rebuilt the toilet ourselves. We ripped out the old toilet. But I had to pay them to go away. They were just laughing. I mean, they just laughed all the way to the bank. They got paid for their deconstruction job. They didn't have to go to the garbage dump with all their stuff. They were just laughing. But if I hadn't been here that day, if I'd been off doing something else, visiting Ome or something, they would have gutted this room. Top to bottom, they would have gutted it. So that may be what's happening over there. Now, do we want the background showing through this horse's tail? I do not think I need to go that far. I think the horse's tail... Well, maybe yes, maybe no. What shall we do? What shall we do? What shall we do? Decisions, decisions. Again, decisions. What did I do last time? Yeah, part of it. Okay. So what I did last time was up to this far behind the tail was the horse color. And up to this far was the background came in under the horse's tail there. So we'll do the same thing. Yeah, it's an insane amount of wastage, and you got to be kidding! It's an insane amount of wastage. Up on Hopi Dori here, there was an empty space for a bunch of years. When I first came here, there was an empty space halfway up on the left. It was a little temporary car park. There had been some building there, or any number of buildings over the years. But when I came here, it was a car park. Something had gone, and it was waiting for a future lease. One year, this would be 3-4 years ago, whatever, it came to life, construction barrier went up, and somebody, the landowner, whatever, put up 2 structures ready to be used as bars. Now, he obviously had no tenant in mind, so he built a generic Hopi Dori bar type structure, long and thin. There's room for 2 of them side by side. He had a roll open shutter at the front, put in drywall, a kitchen thing at the back, piping, whatever. Didn't build counters and all that kind of stuff. Built an empty one, all fitted out. Nice floor, hung down ceiling, walls, and then attachments ready for the kitchen stuff to go in and for whatever the tenant wanted to do. Both of them were ready. Construction company leaves, for lease sign goes up. One of them gets leased right away. A few days later, in come the construction people, and they gut the place. They rip out the ceiling, they rip out the walls, they rip out, we don't even want to talk about this. And they did it again from zero, the way they wanted to do it. It was an insane, I just stood there with my jug, I don't even want to talk about it. It was incredible. The paint wasn't even dry, and they gutted it back to the framework, you know. It was incredible. That's Japan, There's one more near in Ome. There's a little old lady lived near my house in Ome. Her family had grown up and gone. Her husband must have died 1,000,000 years ago. Little old lady all by herself. Beautiful little quiet bungalow type house, garden, stones, couple of trees. She couldn't maintain it, so the guys came from the Silver Center. You know, the retired guys who have nothing to do. They do this for volunteer. They take care of the gardening for the little old ladies who can't help stuff by themselves. And I looked at that place. Boy, I'd like to live there. You know, a little bungalow, nice sunshine, beautiful little garden, trees, rocks, all that kind of stuff. Wonderful. Day goes by, and one day you see the construction hoarding. Bang, she must have passed away. The property is going to be resold. To sell property in Japan, you level it. The building came down, the bulldozers came in, the rocks, the trees, all the little stuff came down, nothing left but a water pipe sticking up. They poured gravel all over the whole thing so the weeds wouldn't grow. For sale sign goes up. Because nobody wants to buy a used house. You just whatever. But anyway, don't get me started. What's the time here? Let's do some show and tell. Part of it made sense, because in the old days, because Japanese houses were flimsy wooden structures, they really weren't going to last. You know, you buy a chateau in France, it's been there for 5,000 years already, whatever. That didn't happen in Japan, so I get it. So part of it, when you bought a property, whatever, you didn't want the structure, because it was just a ramshackle piece of crap anyway. So it makes sense historically in that sense. The land was valuable through location or whatever, but the structure was just a temporary shack. So of course nobody wanted that. They were buying the land. So I get the historical part of this. But common sense, whatever, common sense. Okay. Show and tell. Okay, what these are. This is goods I got from a Yahoo auction back in 2005. And what these are reprints, but they're not reprints. Some of you may know already who this is. Do I have to tell you, or is somebody going to pop this up? This is Komura Setai? I can't remember how you spell his last name. Komura, small village is the last name, Settai, S-E-T-T-A-I, I believe his name. He's a designer. He died in, somewhere halfway through the last century. He died in 1940 something or whatever. I think he died during the war. So he was a late Meiji artist. Somebody's got it, Komura Settai. He was a late Meiji artist who through the first half of the 20th century. Paintings, also woodblock prints. And he had a design sense, and it was very much, obviously, not by accident. He was obviously looking and drinking the Harunobu Kool-Aid in the kind of women he created. And this is Taisho era stuff when the women were weak, tubercular, weak women. But it was a cool, cute little thing to do. And he made his living as an illustrator and painter, but two companies, Adachi and Takamizawa, collaborated with him to do issues of woodblock prints. And these were not the Adachi type reproductions that Adachi is famous for over the years. These are Adachi editions. They took his designs and made woodblock prints of them. And this group is, I think, from one of the Takamizawa editions, although I would be willing to be proved wrong. They are a series that are done in the shape of a fan. Now, they weren't meant to be pasted on a fan. This was art stuff. The fan shape is there, but outside of the fan, we have an ummo background. These are artworks. And what I've got here, I've got 18 of them, and I've got them in multiple copies. This one I have one copy. Another one I've got 3 of these, 2 of these, 1 of these. And these seem to have come from a printer's workshop. She's kneeling down in the snow to show. Is it difficult? She's kneeling in the snow. She's picking up, again, what's actually happening. It's a snowy day. She's maybe picked up some snow and she has fashioned it into the shape of a little rabbit. You tell me what's actually happening. And what these seem to be rejects. The printer was commissioned to do 100 copies, 200 copies, whatever, sent back the good ones, and he kept a bunch of them that have defects. And every one of the prints I've got here has some kind of defect. It's kind of stuff that we throw away. We don't throw it away, we throw it in a drawer somewhere. And what I've got here is a bunch of prints that came out of that printer's drawer. The ones that went back to Takamizawa, they all got a red seal, kochunk. And if you now have one of those, you've got a print that's worth a few $1,000s for each one. I have 18 of these things, but no seals. So the market could care less. They have no value in the market. But Dave, you know what I don't care the slightest bit about that. These are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful objects. Here, we've got 3 of this one. I know this is not the best environment because we need to zoom in closer. I don't like this style so much. Again, the Taisho era women are not something that Dave finds so pleasant and pleasing. But these are excellent, excellent woodblock prints. And neat and clean. And the other thing about it is these were the originals from Adachi or Takamizawa would have been done in somewhere around 1940. The sheets of paper I have in my hand here are absolutely not that old. These are, if I was going to guess, I'd say late 1960s or something, just going by the pieces of paper. So maybe people out there who know the reprint history of these, whatever year the reprint set was done, that would be the year that these were made and then kept in a printer's workshop. Look at the gradation. There's an Atenashi gradation, the dark purple in there. And this is full of, it's full of shininess and speckle. It's mica. It's really kind of cute, you know. There could be a story to some of these. A lot of his work was illustrations for books and for novels. So these may have been a set that was created with a story in the background. I know nothing about the background part of that, I'm sorry. It's well known, it's well documented. I know this guy must have his Wikipedia page. There must be information on these things. This one I remember. This is supposed to be Mount Tsukuba, is what it's called. And I guess it's an illustration from some kind of story. And she is looking at, for some reason, thinking about Mount Tsukuba. And there's a weeping willow, a yanagi here. So it's all supposed to be very weepy and crying and ethereal and these are very, very, very carefully, detailedly made. The lines are astonishingly thin. Look at me, look at my finger here, you know. The registration is tight. The paper is crisp, beautiful white. The gradations are to die for. This is so difficult. A mountain like this with a gradation, which may be partly block gradation, but you still can't just rub your finger over the top of that thing. What do we got here? Question. How is the yellow-blue transition printed? You mean this part here? Well, there's a block for the yellow part and a block for the blue part. The blue is done as a gradation coming up. Tsukuba, Tsukuba. It's near Tokyo. It's near where Cameron lives. Cameron can probably see it from his living room window. The train that comes by here, Tsukuba Express, comes from Tsukuba to Akihabara. Looks like she has a black wildcat on her head. Whatever. Nothing to do with me, hairstyles. Jet black printing. Jet black. I don't know, why didn't they make the grade? I think that publisher perhaps was extremely strict, and different prints that had different dots and specs and stuff like that were just rejected. Whether the publisher rejected them or whether the printers rejected them, I don't know. Stuff like this, look, here we are, look. There's a spec in the middle here, and this is the kind of stuff we would probably not want to send this out ourselves either. I would try this under the microscope to try and fix it. Or here, look at this, the mountain. The mountain got a bit of waviness. So my guess is simply after they had finished their batch of whatever it was, 100 sheets or 200 sheets or whatever, they would have started with 110 sheets of paper. I'm making these numbers up. You start with more paper than you need. You send off the 200 sheets to the publisher, and the rest of them just go into your drawers. And here they are. We've got two of these as well. This is difficult. It's so difficult to print jet black like this. I don't know if we're going to be able to show this. There's your back. And this would have been done with maybe one impression or two impressions. I don't know. Here we go. Look. See. Clearly. Look. No way you're going to send this. No way. You know, a respectable publisher. No way. Even the jet black of the hair has been out-jetted. The background is even blacker. There's purple in it, I think. It's been purplified. It probably doesn't show on the camera here. It really is. Somebody says it's serious black. It really is serious black. And I think they've mixed some purple in there. Also, we've got on her obi, I don't know if we can get this. Let me pop a light up for a second. Her obi is Nuno Mezuri. There's a fabric pattern. Let me try and get the angle right here, just a sec. And somewhere in here, there's an angle where we can see the pattern on her obi. Not going to be able to find it. Somewhere. Come on, Dave. Keep going. Keep going. I can't find it. There's a fabric pattern on her obi. I can't find the exact right angle light here. Once these go into our collection, you'll be able to see this just fine. No, I can't find it. Anyway, take it from my word. There is a fabric pattern there. Stunning, stunning technique. Stunning technique. These were on, they were on Yahoo Auction, the pair of them. Oh, this is famous, famous, famous. This is probably the most famous one. Excuse me. Too many shadows here, sorry. This is not the optimal place. Anyway, relax. You'll be able to see these sometime next week after my accounting is done. We will photograph these properly and put them up in the collection. And there are stories. There are known stories for all of these. These are episodes, illustration episodes. Look at that, that kimono. That's a riff on Ogata Gekko. I have exactly the same kimono, same pattern, same coloring, everything on an Ogata Gekko print. Look at the tasteful, the gradation at the bottom. And the rain, just enough rain. It's just a little sprinkling, spring rain. There's a gradation on the umbrella to darken it at one side. And the size of the mouth, you know, I mean, can we get in? It's going to lose focus here. I mean, there's your scale. There's your scale. You got to print that little mouth. I don't know how many they made on this. It was a limited edition kind of thing back in the day. Whether that was an honest edition or not, I don't know. They do a couple hundred, maybe a couple hundred more. If you take care of your blocks, you can get thousands. If you run them fast, 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 then you lose it. You know. There's a bit of embossing on the rain too. You can see it. Very nice, very tasteful stuff, if you like it. And I'm of two minds what to do, because I have multiple copies of these. Should we just sell off some or not? I don't know. It's you know, there's three of these. It's kind of better just to keep the multiples. You can compare one by one to see how the printer does differently from one to the other, you know. I don't know the story here. These are, I think, the place we're looking at. These are kura. These are storehouses. In fact, you can see over across the river there are more storehouses, and these are, I believe, this is a bamboo yard and a lumber yard. You'll see some famous Edo era Hiroshige prints with this. There was an area on the river near the Kanagawa. In fact, there's famous Hokusai print with this, with all the bamboo stuff. So a place where there's storage. And these are kura, storehouses, and I believe also these two structures here, she is walking between two storehouses. And these hook things are attachments where the panels hook down, the fire guard panels came down and hooked on. I believe, I'm not quite sure of that. Yeah, it's a known thing, you can hook them up. It's, if you look up kura, storehouse, and then fire guards, there was a system where it was plaster, and when there was a nearby fire, either the fire guards, the wooden fire guards were taken away so they didn't burn or put back in place. I don't know how it worked. And we have the same kimono. It looks like the same kimono we just saw in the last one. Very similar pattern. A pattern of pampas grass on a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful green color. And I don't know the episode or the story. Gradation down. Look at the river gradation. Sky is lighter. River is deeper. Ooh, we're holding our focus here. Looks good. And again, the scale of what's happening here. There's my finger, you know. This whole face has been done within the scale of one fingernail. Eyes. Separate eyes are separately printed from the key lines of the face. The face has the nose and the eyebrows, and the eyes have gone in separately. And in fact, maybe that's why this one's rejected, because I think her eyes, yeah, they're a little bit high. The registration is a tiny bit off on the eyes. And we would not want to send this either if we were doing it. Do I think Komura would be ashamed of these prints? I don't think so at all. The guy was a designer. I know he designed his prints. His job was to do a pretty design. Technicians then go ahead and put it out into the world. Presumably, a guy would like to think that the quality of the prints made from his designs are as high as possible. If there's ones that don't cut it, they're rejected. We're looking at them now. There's no embarrassment for him. We're looking at them and understanding why they were rejected. I don't see any problem with this. Should I not show them because they're not good examples of his art? I don't think there's any sense like that at all. I'm just very lucky to get these. I think we're lucky to get them. And if I were guessing, I would think the registration on this one was a little bit off. It could be one of the early copies in the batch. Look, the blue is off a little bit here. The kimono is off a little bit here. In fact, the more I see it, the more I think about it now. That's it. This was be an early copy in the batch where the blocks still were not registered yet. Are the moths off? Yeah, so we have a little bit of a registration issue here on this one. So, does it matter? Whatever, it doesn't stop me now from physically enjoying the pleasure of this object, so I'm not worried about that. You know. And I think he would be happy we're still talking about him. Whatever. Okay. There we go, there we go, there we go. It won't be happening today or tomorrow, but these will be in our collection page sometime a week or 2 weeks, whatever. This next week for me is going to be mostly about bookkeeping. It's Monday morning. I will be back here when? Oh, it's my 3-day break. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's my 3-day break. I won't be back here now till Thursday morning with another, we'll be doing the carving blocks. We'll do probably another couple of transfer sheets, carving color blocks for this share certificate. When that's done, what's next for me? Patron chibis are done. This is done. The subscription prints are being handled very well by Kawasaki-san and Chon-san. So I actually have no carving work on my bench from next week. What should we do on these streams? I can't print on these streams. I have a ton of Photoshop work. You're not going to want to see me looking at Photoshop. I'm not sure. Let's think about it. Let's think about it. But most of the work that has been on my schedule has now been done. It's now bookkeeping and managing stuff for Dave for next while. So what should we do on the streams for next week? I don't know. Throw me some ideas. We will find something to do. Sax practice. On a scale of 1 to 100, that is number 10,000. It's not, not going to happen. Okay, anyway, maybe visit Hokusai. I don't have a setup for streaming, you know. I don't have I've got an iPad, but it's not Wi-Fi enabled. It would be a thing to do, you know, do a live stream from Hokusai's grave. But our iPad is not Wi-Fi enabled. And I don't have a smartphone. But yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. Maybe if we had Cameron back in for a day, he could use his phone, we could, whatever. Yeah, throw your ideas in. Emails, throw your ideas in. I am out of here. I'm out of here. Thank you. See you on Thursday morning, Wednesday night. I've had a good day. Lots of work waiting for me now. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon. Now it gets quiet outside, now that we're finished. They're on their tea break. Nothing to see. Okay, signing off. See you next Thursday. Bye-bye.